What's up, everyone? Thanks for clicking on the video. If this is your first time here, either to Veve or just digital collecting in general, be sure to click that QR code there up in the top right corner to get yourself 10 free gems or 10 US dollars for free on the Veve app. That way you can get collecting right away. So first thing I want to say is shout out to Randy Chavez. Thank you for making your video. I know he made one just the other day called Open Letter to Veve. I think he had a lot of great points, and really that kind of gave me the idea to make this video, which is mostly, I'm pretty much just going to be exclusively talking about the collectible drops, because I do think, big props to Veve, Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, and pretty much a good amount of independent artists for really mixing things up with this drop system. It's gone a long way from just the typical like common through secret rare drop system we used to have back in the day. Now there's like burns and crafts and all kinds of stuff going on. And I've actually queued up about like 10 to 15 different drops we've had just from like the beginning of this year that have really changed things up. And I do think there are some drops that people like, some drops that people don't like, certain mechanics, things like that, mints, all kinds of stuff. So I've already kind of queued up a lot of these, and I wanted to run through these really quickly. And I'm really curious what your guys' input is on some of these drops. So, which ones you like, what mechanisms you do and don't like. So we'll go ahead and get started. I pulled up the Punisher because this was the first evolvable drop. I know this was not this year, but it was late last year. Initially, I will say I really like the evolvables drop. This is also, I believe, when the special edition kind of first started with the drop system, which almost added like a second secret rare to the drop. So it almost gave you two chasers, right? Because before it was pretty consistent that if you land the secret rare, you got profit. If you got the ultra rare, you would maybe break even, maybe get plus or minus like 5 or 10% like profit or loss. It just kind of hovered around that box price, and everything else was below box price. But if you got this special edition out of the common, you did pretty well. I will say after doing a couple of evolvable drops, now I just kind of avoid them for the most part because as you're crafting upward, right, it's costing you money each time you're crafting upward. And in addition to that, because there's no waitlist system for the secret rare, the last, I think 2 or 3 evolvables I went for, I didn't get the secret rare because I wasn't fast enough. I was at work. I was using, the work Wi-Fi or my own internet, and I just couldn't get in time. So it really felt like I kind of used up a lot of gens to get up to the secret rare. And when I fell short, I ended up with the ultra rare, which I think even now is going for like well below retail, like 15, 20 gems. It's been a while since I've checked up on that Punisher. So overall, like I do like the evolvables, and it seems like they've kind of dialed back on them a little bit. But the fact that, in my opinion, there's no waitlist system and it's all just about speed. And I miss the old days of having the speed drops where if you just got lucky and you were quick enough, you could get the drop. But if you're crafting all the way up, you're kind of burning gems, you're burning MCP at the same time. So overall, I do like the evolvables drop, but I do think they can make some minor changes. I'm curious what you guys think about the evolvable drops in general. This is another drop that happened actually late last year, I believe. But at least with this one, I like these types of drops where kind of no matter what you get, you can at least still craft let me see if I can find it here. Even though you might whiff and you might get the common or uncommon or whatever, at least you can kind of craft the base. You almost had a free craft that at least you had a chance to maybe get like a unique mint or whatever. So if you got a common owl, that's not ideal, but at least with the log, if you craft it, you might get a unique mint. Maybe you get a 2-digit, maybe you get the year, maybe you get like a unique mint number, something like that. So at least you had a chance to kind of make up some of those gems a little bit, and you got 2 collectibles now that you could sell potentially to kind of make up for some of that loss if you wanted to sell it immediately, things like that. So I actually do really like this system where like kind of no matter what you get or for certain drops, at least you can craft something right away. You can sell it right away. Maybe you get a unique mint and you can kind of recover some of that loss. And obviously, it's also more of a win more thing, right? If you land a secret rare and ultra rare, these bases tend to go for more. So it feels that much better. So I actually do like this drop system, even though it does kind of spread the liquidity out amongst 2 different collectibles, right? Versus, amongst, in this case, 10 collectibles instead of just the 5, right? So even though I do think it does tend to make these common and uncommons and rares like much cheaper than they would be if there was no bases, because sometimes people want to buy both, I still like this system. So at least you have at least a chance. And there's something I'm kind of realizing that like people want to click the buy button and people want to pull that lever to kind of get a unique mint or unique whatever on it. So even though the craft is free, at least you had a chance to get a unique mint number, or at least some sort of way to make up some of those losses, right? Now this drop, the Ultraman drops, I'm going to show 2 here. This one's different than the other ones because this one was almost like the very OG drops back in like season 1, where it was almost kind of like a tiered pricing system where you have like 10 gems, 20, 25. I don't know if you guys knew, but you know, Todd back in the day, I believe was like 80 gems, and then some of the other ones were costing, you know, were getting more and more expensive depending on the type of rarity you bought. So even though, which is kind of funny, even though this Mina drop, it's a secret rare, this is what everyone went for, right? Because everyone wants the secret rare, right? Let's see if it'll load. Whoops, I accidentally clicked the wrong thing. So even though there's 266 editions, this was 35 gem list price, it's already going below retail. And so this is something I've kind of noticed before too, where sometimes in the community, unless it's popular enough or scarce enough, if you just kind of give the community the SR, typically it goes below retail from what I've noticed, or it gets very, very close. I'm not sure how many are on here. Let's check really quick how many listings there are. Man, I don't know if it's my internet or maybe, okay, yeah. So yeah, we already have three below box price already. So, which is kind of funny because we have 266 secret rares, but if we look at the commons, only like 150 sold, something like that. So there's actually more secret rares on the market or in circulation than there are commons in circulation. And if you kind of go through all these too, if you look at the uncommon, right, not even 100 of these sold. So we have less than 100 of these, of the uncommon of that one. We have like 80 sold of these ones. So I've kind of noticed where if you just let the community just pick what they want, they're always going to pick the most scarce thing. And then even then, it's probably still going to tip, unless it's popular and scarce enough, right? I do think Ultraman's popular, but again, most of the people in the VV community are in like the, you know, Western culture. I've heard of Ultraman, but I've never seen a show or an episode or anything like that. Same thing with this one. Emmy drop, secret rare sold out, worth 35 gems, going for 27, right? 266 secret rares are in circulation, or at least that were bought up. If you look at the common, not even 100 of these have sold on the market. So again, with these ones where you just kind of just let the community decide, they're always going to choose the most scarce one, just kind of hope it stays above retail. And then when it doesn't, people tend to just you know, keep undercutting it to the point where they're just trying to cut their losses, break even or cut their losses at this point. So I'm not completely against this like tiered system, but I think the scarcity needs to be there and the popularity needs to be there, in my opinion. Blackpink drop. I actually kind of like this one. I'm trying to remember why I selected this one. Oh yeah, because the base, where I really like the idea where if you kind of collect multiples of things, you can kind of get this big craft and stuff out of it. So this one, I think I mostly picked this one. Oh yeah, because this one had I think the 3-day burn. Yeah, this one was the 3-day burn, I believe. Let me go back. There it is. Yeah, it says on sale for 3 days only. So I mostly picked this one because of the, you know, the crafting aspect. But I really like this one, even though I didn't go for it at all. The fact that it was only in store for 3 days, and honestly, I do think if Veve had some sort of burn mechanism for most drops, I think that would solve probably about 50% of the problems of the market. A lot of the reason why things tend to stay below retail and not do well is just because there's so many in the store and there's already a ceiling already established with the box price, right? Like no one's going to buy, you know, one of the common Emmys or some of the previous drops because you could always just buy one for 10 gems, right? Like there's the upper limit is already established. So until it surpasses 10 gems, it's just going to stay below there for the most part. But I really do like these. I do think Veve could implement some more of these burns in general. 3 days might be a little bit short. It might be the perfect mark. That's why I think comics, which I might make a completely different video for that some other time, works well, is because you know it's going to burn, and whatever doesn't get sold gets burned, and that's the new amount of mints that gets left over. The issue with a lot of collectibles is that there is no burn. They just sit in the store. There's not a lot of hype around it, which could get fixed with some drops like this, like the mighty upgrades. I actually really like these types of drops because it brings life to old collectibles that were dropped, you know, years and years ago. And I'm using Dr. Doom as an example because I believe before this was announced, Dr. Doom, the original one, like this one right here, was probably going for like 50-ish gems. So yeah, it was probably going for about 50 gems in the market. And then when they announced this, I mean, these things skyrocketed to like above over 100 gems. And even now, I believe this is going for about 70 gems. And then this Dr. Doom's also going for about, yeah, almost just shy of 70 gems. So I really like these old, kind of like upgrading old collectibles. Even though there is a 5 gem price to it, it does bring life and a lot of attention to the old collectibles. And It would have been nice to see some sort of, again, 250 MCP. It's not that much. And I do think if we increase that MCP amount, it could kind of bring a bit more value to it. Because if this was 100,000 MCP, I wonder how much this would cost if it costs 100,000 MCP to craft this, right? And you can, again, do a tiered system where, hey, if you craft the uncommons, maybe that's 10,000, the rare and ultra rare, 20 and 50,000. And then if you do the ultra rare, 100,000, or the secret rare, 100,000 MCP to burn. So I think Veve should be, people have been accumulating MCP for literally years, and there's only been a handful of drops that people have had to where they can like really lean into their MCP and buy it, which is actually one of the drops I'll cover here in a little bit. The wrong English one. I actually like this drop. I think the gem amount was a bit high. Like 30 gems was a bit steep for me. Honestly, there's a lot of FA comics I would rather buy. There's a lot of FA collectibles that I think a lot of people have kind of overlooked that cost less than 30 gems. Heck, even like 10 to 20 gems that I'd rather stack than just kind of just gamble on this. But the aspect I do like about this one is, I believe, if I remember correctly, you go for the board game here, and if you're lucky, you might have gotten this Cathedral Chank, which again is the SE. So again, you just go for the drop. There's a small chance you get this Cathedral Chank and obviously make a lot of gems for it. But even if you do just get the board, you get to pick what piece you want, which I thought was pretty cool because some people might like some pieces for aesthetic reasons. Some people might pick the the snail card because there's already a bunch of crafted hammerheads and shark cars and all that kind of stuff. So you can either craft something just because you like the look of it, or you can craft something because, oh, no one else is crafting it, and now this is super scarce. And I do believe this also had a burn mechanism built into it too. Yeah, burn editions 1000. So yeah, this one was also burned after some time too. And even though this is only going for 2 gems, 2.5 gems or whatever, I believe it was free to craft these. So between the price of the board and the craft and all that kind of stuff, I do think you can kind of make more of it back. But I do like these kind of crafting systems. And I do think Veve should lean more into it, especially the ones where you can kind of pick what you want to craft with your board game. I do think that's actually pretty cool. This one too, just another craft. This was almost kind of like a mercy type thing where it's like, all right, if you got unlucky and landed the common, you can kind of craft this canvas poster thing, which looks cool. It's actually holding its value decently well. It's at a little over 7.5 gems, and I believe this drop was 15 gems. Yeah, 15 gems. I think commons right now are going for like 3 or 4 gems, so you're still at a small loss, but at least you can make it up a little bit with the poster. And I do like the crafting aspect of, you could, if you land the common, which is kind of the quote-unquote least valuable one, at least you can kind of craft something with it, and you have a chance of getting a unique min or just something cool afterwards. So again, more independent artists, Disney, Star Wars, they seem to be the only ones kind of doing this type of stuff. Another different type of drop, right? This one was strictly an MCP drop. I know we had the other like Brandalized drop before. I just want to do this one because this is the newest one. But I believe this one was 1 million MCP. Yeah, so 1 million MCP going for about 900 gems. And then the other one was for, I think, 100,000 MCP or something like that. 250,000 MCP, so 250,000. So I do think Veve should do more of these drops, to be honest. Right now, that's kind of like the utility of MCP. Like, if with drops like this is basically an easy way to convert MCP to just gems, right? If you need, there's a lot of people with a lot of MCP in their accounts, and they, would probably, I would be willing to burn some, or at least craft a collectible to burn some of my MCP and then just sell it on the market, because right now I'm kind of wanting gems more than MCP at this point. Or at some point, Veve could do an MCP store that's, a seasonal thing with Veve collectibles that are unique to the Veve verse and all kinds of stuff. So I think Vive's working on that stuff, or at least I hope they are. But having more MCP exclusive drops, even though they're pretty much only making money on the secondary market, I hope they kind of do more of it, to be honest. And I think that's something everyone's asking for. Another cool drop system. So this one's almost multiple systems in one. So this is very similar to the Bambi drop, right? Where if you land the Subulbo Pod Racer, you also get the base. I think most of the bases are going for like 1 or 2 gems anyway, except for some of these higher ones. They might go for a little bit more. Again, there's the Chaser with the Pitroid. You get another collectible with it. The other thing I liked about this one, though, too, was, and I think I have to click here to do it, was I believe in this one, if you just bought 3, right, doesn't matter what you got, you could have gotten unlucky and just gotten a bunch of Sebulbas or some other ones, right, or ones that aren't as scarce. But if you just crafted 3, you just got the Moss Espa Grand Arena for free, right? That's another thing you can kind of craft. So again, on paper, I do like this craft. Again, I kind of avoided this one because 30 gems was a bit steep. And again, if you want the arena, you pretty much were spending 90 gems to get it. And even though you get the extra bases, that's kind of cool. I do like this aspect of, you know, kind of almost not having like a mercy roll. I'm trying to remember, like Diablo had this system where if you kind of craft something a lot of times, there's a certain point where like you have an increased chance of actually getting the thing that you want. Like the percentage kind of gets a bit higher the more you craft. And this is kind of a thing that is similar to it, where like, hey, if you craft 3 things, no matter what, you can get this Moss Espa Grand Arena. And I believe this one, I'm not sure how much that's going for, but I believe last I checked, it was going for like 10 or 15 gems. So nothing too crazy. Inside Out drop. I think this one actually happened last year too. So this one was another unique one. Looks like Veve's not doing this type of drop anymore. And I'm kind of glad, where it's kind of a win more drop, I believe. Let me see. There's that memory orb. I'm trying to remember correctly. I think this one had a special edition. Store purchases only. The Joy. Okay, the Joy was burned, and the Joy memory orb was store purchases only. I could have sworn this was a new series. Okay, so yeah, that's what it was. I don't know why it doesn't say special edition. So I'm kind of glad they're not doing these types of drops anymore, because this one was like, if you won, you really won the drop. So like you almost got the double or triple dip on the win that you did get. So if you did play this drop, you got the Joy. You know, unfortunately, you're gonna have to burn it. But if the Joy was only worthwhile if you also got the special edition, which is also just very hard to get in general. So the only way to actually craft these other orbs, let's see if there's an easier way to find this. Yeah, these like sadness, disgust, fear, and anger orbs, is you had to have the special edition, and that didn't get burned. You actually burned the Joy, but you didn't burn the special edition. So if I remember correctly, if you landed the special edition, I think you could craft multiples. If not, even if you could only craft one, again, you got the benefit of having the special edition, which you could sell for a lot. You could also use that to craft this extra orb, which you could only get through the special edition, sell that for a lot too. So I do like this kind of craft system, but I don't like the fact that it was tied to the special edition. So again, all the people that won the special editions instantly got 200-300 gems for free instantly, while everyone else pretty much just lost gems for the most part. So it's almost like, you know, again, you got the double or triple dip on your winnings if you were lucky enough to get the special edition. So I'm not a huge fan of that, where it's like, if you win, you win huge, and if you lose, you rarely lose a lot too, because everyone else, these other ones, weren't even involved with the crafting aspect at all. So I'm not sure what those are selling for. Another drop that actually happened recently, even though this kind of flies in the face of what a lot of people have been giving feedback on, which is like, oh, there's too many mints, there's too much stuff going on. A lot of people actually went for this drop, even though it didn't sell out. The low box price of 10 gems, all the collectibles look unique. There's multiple chasers with the Lumia SR, the special edition, and even the UR is actually holding its value pretty well. I think last I checked, this one was going for like 20-25 gems, even though this is going for 10 right now. So in this drop almost had like 3 chasers. So even though we have a lot of commons, 2 uncommons, 2 rares, because the box price was so cheap, again, I think people want to click the buy button, but they just don't want to get completely burned when they get a common or something on, you know, low. And, you know, having something go from 10 gems down to like 3 or 4, you know, losing that much, not that big of a deal. But if you're going for a drop that's 40, 50, 60 gems, and then you get unlucky, and then now you're kind of forced to sell it potentially in the market for like 10, 15, 20 gems, that doesn't always feel good. So I do like these drops. I do think there is something to these very cheap drops with a lot of mints and a lot of unique looking collectibles. I do think there is something to these drops, and I do think people enjoy playing these drops. Even if they lose, I think I ended up getting a Sandy or something like that. I'm trying to remember which one I ended up getting. Even though I technically, quote unquote, lost gems, I still enjoyed it, and my collectible looks cool. So on to Buzz Lightyear. So this one, I know Randy had some feedback for this one. To be quite frank, I'm not sure why they have this uncommon here in the first place. The common and uncommon, the only difference is what the left versus right eyebrows raised and the visors on. They both have their hands on their hip. They're both looking in the sky. You know, one's grinning and smiling or something like that. But to be honest, for me, I'm not really playing a lot of these blind box drops anyway. I've kind of run the math on, like, on average, you have anywhere between an 80 to 90% chance to lose the drop and just lose gems, right? Anywhere between 50 to 75% of your gems could just get lost. Like, I think there's a good chance. Again, this is not an FA, but I could definitely see common Buzz Lightyears, depending on how many people bought them, going for 4 or 5 gems in the aftermarket. If you look at Spider-Man 2099, which I think is this next slide, people are already selling the commons for 10 gems. You know, they paid 40, they're selling it for 10. That's a 75% loss on that for the most part. So special edition looks amazing. It looks different, even though it's the same character. They both have the helmet. It looks different enough where it's identifiable. It's dark, or it has a glow in the dark aspect of it. Is a different looking face. I really like this special edition. Unlike the kind of Fantastic Four one where Johnny Blaze, the only difference is just the neck part. But this looks unique enough where I do think people are going to go after this and probably pay a premium amount for the special edition. Ultra Rare will probably be around or below retail. Secret Rare is going to do well. Special Edition is going to do well. I think we've seen this drop play out dozens of times already. We already know how well it's going to do. Johnny Storm. So Johnny Storm, I've already kind of given the feedback. The special edition, the only difference is just the neck part. I'm not sure how much that makes it special. I know it's like the classic look that the Fantastic Four had, but why not just make that the normal common, or just cut this one out altogether and make the rare the special edition? You know, get rid of the extra 860 mints that are just kind of bloating the drop and kind of taking value away from some of these other drops. And again, very similar to the Ultraman drops, where if you just kind of give the community the SR, even though it was a Diamond 1 or above, I think only like the top 5 or 10% of people could go for this drop. This sold for 60 gems, so it's still profitable. I think mostly because it was gated by the fact that it was Diamond 1 or higher. But even with the 8.5% fee, if you sold this right now, let's see what the floor looks like. Yeah. With the floor price right now, like if you sold it right now for 73 gems, you're only making like a 6 gem profit, you know, and you're spending 60 on it. So, and I do know when this first dropped, it was like over 100 gems, and it's been kind of going down ever since. And I think, to be honest, when people see drops like this, they just see a way for it to kind of just print free gems, or at least that's just the way I do. Unless you're a huge fan of Johnny Storm and you want to collect the whole set, or you really like that look or whatever. But for me, if I had Diamond 1, I probably would have just played the drop and probably flipped it right away. Just my opinion. And same thing with this one. I've noticed the lower the barrier to entry, typically the worse the drop does. Like this one was very similar to the SR. It was 50 gems, I think, instead of 60. Only 1,000 MCP points, which, to be honest, I mean, most people are already accumulating 1,000 MCP points in a day. Some people are already accumulating thousands in a day. So this really isn't a pain point at all. If this was, 100,000 MCP points, maybe a few would have been sold. Maybe the market would have done a bit better, but I have checked this on the market. This is essentially selling for 49 gems. It's already below box price, and only about 150 or so have been sold. So again, because we're just kind of giving people the SR or the UR for kind of no effort, it's not typically doing that well on the market. The one that's doing the best, no surprise, is the Human Torch, right? This one looks the best, also not sold out. But again, you have a low chance of getting it. It's 4 gems. Like the harder it is to get something, the better it does, obviously. You would kind of think, even though this one has 261, even if this drop did sell out, and there's 261 all sold, and I think that's only like a few, I think that's only a few mints less. Yeah, it's the same amount of mints. If this drop sold out, I still think this secret rare would do better because it's harder to get, right? Like this one was just kind of just given to people that were just high enough rank, and you just spent 60 gems. This one, you had to kind of quote unquote earn it. I mean, don't get me wrong, you had to earn the other one too by having a big enough collection. But people have already been collecting on Veve for 3, 4, 5+ years at this point. So Yeah, I like the idea of this, and it does seem like they're mixing multiple aspects, right? They have the special edition, they kind of have a craft on your own thing, but I don't know. In this one, it would have been a little bit better, I think, if they just moved this fully ignited Human Torch to this special edition, get rid of the extra bloated 800, 900 mints on this one, and I think it would have performed a lot better. All right, we have 2 left. I know it's been a long video so far, and I've been talking a lot. So these are the drops I like the most. Solo drops. This isn't even FA, but solo drops, popular character, low mints, even high box price. I think this still would have sold out if this was 60 gems. And I think Veve shouldn't shy away too much if they want to charge a little bit extra for some of these like lower mints. These mint ones. But yeah, this one did the best. I mean, I think at the high, this one was going for like 300-ish gems. Obviously, it's pulled back since then. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation surrounding around the red metallics. I won't even say speculation. I think my collectibles is pretty much already kind of confirmed. You know, hey, that red metallic Avengers tower is just the first craft to happen with these like red metallic series drops. So I'm not sure if you need to have the previous set or if you just need to have the Spider-Man plus whatever new red metallics are going to be coming out here in the near future. But I do think the price was obviously inflated a little. I don't think the whole price was, but I do think the price was inflated a little bit just because of that mention from my collectibles saying that, hey, there's going to be a craft. And I knew unless that announcement or that craft was going to happen soon after this drop, I kind of knew this drop was going to pull back a bit. But so far, I mean, honestly, because of this drop, because again, it's a Peter Parker drop, very scarce. It's the classic look. People got excited. We had a lot of people join the app. I think Randy said it, you know, before we were having like 500 people on the app. Now we had like 2,000-ish or something like that play this drop. And that excitement completely ran into this next drop, which is Spider-Man 2099. And again, the quality on these are absolutely amazing. Again, I still skip this drop because, again, if you just look on paper, you have about an 85% chance to just kind of instantly lose gems and only about a 10 to 15% chance to do well. But again, because there's 2 chasers on this one, you have the secret rare and the special edition, both look amazing. I mean, they all look amazing. This drop ended up actually selling out really well. And the secret rare, I'm not sure what that one's. Yeah, this one's going for about 155. And this one's going for like 900. And unfortunately, the commons are going for below 10 for the most part. So again, you know, if you were, I know everyone was hyped, but I think a lot of people kind of forget that like there's still 85% of the people that just kind of instantly lost 75% of their gems by playing this. Again, and that's assuming you just want to sell the gems right away. But me personally, I really like the drops that have a craft connected to it for free, right? You land a drop, you get a kind of secondary craft that gives you a second chance to get like a unique mint number, recover some of those gems, or at least a cool way to kind of pair your 2 collectibles together, really round out that theme, whether it's like Bambi or whatever it is, or these drops where it's like, you know, hey, you get the comment. And again, blind box at the end of the day, it's just gambling. In the sense of you don't know what you're going to get. There's a high likelihood you're not going to get for the top ones. If you don't really care what you get and you're just happy with the common, there are a handful of drops where I actually don't mind if I landed the common at all. I think there was the Veve like diorama thing. I actually wanted the Veve one, which I think was the common. Sometimes I actually do want the common, and if I don't make it, cool, I'll just buy one in the market. If I do get it, cool, I don't need to go to the market anymore. I can just stick with what I want. So I think at the end of the day, I think people do want to click the buy button, but I think you need to give them more avenues to honestly either get their gems back or win big like this one. Again, there's 2 chasers, or if there's a solo drop, that if you just kind of get it. And because, you know, I think Veve should be incentivized to do more of those kind of solo, very low mint drops, because now we have the waitlist system, right? It's a bit more fair than it was before, where if you just had fast internet, you had a likelihood of getting it, and a lot of people were just kind of SOL, right? But I think that's it for this video. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So I'm really curious what you guys think. What type of drop systems do you guys enjoy? Do you guys like the crafts? Do you think there should be burns tied to most of these collectibles? Do you like the idea of just having like 1 common and having like 2 big chasers? Or do you like actually having variations of, you know, common, uncommon, secret rare, ultra rare, all that kind of stuff? You know, even including some of the ones where there is a burn after a short amount of time. So yeah, let me know down below. I would love to kind of give more feedback to like Veve and just kind of talk about more about the drop systems, because I'm honestly, it wasn't until I made this video I was really surprised. I'm like, wow, we've come a long way from just doing the simple drop system, right? Like now we have like 10 or 15 like different drop systems that Veve's been experimenting with the different licensors. So I give huge respect to Veve on that, and hopefully they can kind of narrow it down of like what collectors want. I think Veve at this point, hopefully they know that like, hey, if they want to generate money or excitement in the community, just make a very low mint scarce drop of a popular character. They can even jack up the box price a little bit because they know it's going to do well, and that'll drum up a lot of excitement in the community, right? And those are also the ones too that also just kind of demand the highest amount of bounties and stuff like that too. I think a lot of people get excited for it. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll hope to catch you guys next time.